Xenia and Arthur here, and this is Watch and Learn. We watch films and
teach English, brew cuppa. We're about to start. Hello everybody, this is Arthur and Xenia again with you, and this is Watch and Learn.
hi.
When you listen to that, probably the hype around this movie is gonna be a little bit down, but we're still gonna try to hop on the last wagon of the hype train. Today we're discussing The Substance, a loud horror movie about the beauty industry and all the consequences. So disclaimer, actually two disclaimers. The first one about the spoilers. If you haven't watched the movie and do not want to spoil the experience, don't listen to this. Watch the movie first. And the second one, if you still want to listen if you haven't watched the movie, we're going to talk about some gruesome stuff. If you don't feel like it, don't. So as usual, we'll start with some first impressions. So what did you feel?
It was an amazing experience actually, and I don't usually watch such stuff. I'm not a fan of horrors, and I was reluctant to watch it actually. I had some very strong emotions. At some points I had to turn away and not watch certain scenes. The sound effects, the close-ups were all very, very bright, graphic, really shocking, you really feel it, you taste it, you smell it, so it's really, really moving. Another thing that I noticed, I'm not a fan of just horrors, that make you fear and scared and shocked and everything. I like the irony of it, the meta-irony, the humor, the dark humor, I don't know. This is what appealed to me a lot in this movie. Yeah, I liked the grotesque, the irony on beauty standards, on this industry, on aging and everything. So for me it was not only scary but thought-provoking in this regard. I really started thinking about it once again. I really, it's some food for thought. And how about you? How's your?
That was surprisingly stressful. As much experience as I have of watching very graphic movies, I've watched stuff you could literally learn a human anatomy from those movies like Saw, for example. This one was very stressful. I tried not to turn my head because all these little things, all these little symbols, I tried not to miss anything. Although I literally skipped some parts, but I will talk about that later. It's not what you think. Yeah, it was very strange. Like the day on which I was watching that film was actually not the best day, So it also added up to this kind of I hope that day ended earlier kind of a thing. But I agree with you that I'm not a big fan of classical actually horror movies with jump scares and screamers and this Western understanding of what a horror should be, because I'm scared, not like scared that I scream or jump off the screen or something, but it's very easy to make me uncomfortable, to make me feel uncomfortable with whatever is going on. And this movie did a very good job of making me comfortable. And it's not only about the graphicality of this movie, but it's everything which is the aspect of a film it seemed like it worked for the same goal, to make me uncomfortable. It's acting, it's cinematography, it's production, everything that is connected to production, it's the design of the space and costumes and all that stuff. Editing, first of all, did a good job. It did a very big contribution to the feelings that I felt. I'm not gonna say that I liked the movie. That would be a lie. because I don't know what I feel. I'm just gonna say it's a good movie. And if you are a person who can go through such experiences, like looking at something graphical, and it's comfortable enough for you to watch something like this, I definitely recommend watching the movie. Because, as Xenia has said already, it has a lot of food for thought. It's very hot, discussable, and something for a lot of people to take something away from the story. Definitely.
Absolutely, yeah.
We're gonna start with just general ideas of the movie, which is the thing on the surface, right? It's the beauty standards and what it does to, first of all, women. Media change like all the time, trends change. Do you think this situation with the pressure from the media, it's mostly media, right? It's mostly like, the internet at this point, yeah, more than TV, which is a part of the film. Yeah, it's mostly TV, television. But in real life, I think it's mostly the internet now. So has the situation changed with the development of, social media, or the pressure is still there and it's still strong on the women in terms of the beauty standards?
Definitely, there are standards that have this great amount of pressure on women. And I also believe there are waves, like different trends in this area. We would sometimes have a trend to look this way, and then in a couple of years something new appears. We've had some time ago a new trend on more of a healthy attitude, as opposed to, I don't know, this heroin chic of 90s or later. Yeah, something like later, I guess. Then we had those very anorexic models and very, very slim, very thin girls. But then nowadays, maybe some time ago, we had this body positivity thing, yeah, stuff with actually accepting how you look and people promoting this idea. Nowadays, I feel the trend is like towards a healthy approach, but not really healthy. We should still agree that the solution is still dieting, doing sport, changing your body in some way, having some changes done. It's just this new kind of wrapper of being healthy. Yeah, so now it's there because it's about your health and it's about your longevity and everything. Yeah, I think these standards do have a lot of pressure. With social media, it adds, I think, because we have access to much more content. We have maybe access to deeper stuff, like people's beauty routines or what they actually do, or their everyday life. I believe the amount of content is also much more, yeah. For example, I don't know, when we had TV, it could be a couple of hours. Now you have access 24/7 to all kinds of stuff, and you can infinitely watch it and look at it and be abused by it. I don't know, be somehow traumatized by it. What do you think about it?
I'm not sure what I think about it because I'm not exposed to that, really. You can say that, like, because I'm a man and I don't follow like models, and I don't follow live blogs, vlogs, whatever, like Instagram pages on which women would promote some certain, or maybe not even promote, but just by their example, they would show this very subjective understanding of what it is to have a better life and, better looks, a different life, yeah. I'm not exposed to that. I'm not even sure. That's why I'm asking you pretty much, like about that. Like, is it still there? Because my subjective experience is that, for example, this kind of thing with media that you show only the brighter side of your life, and that creates this unrealistic image of a perfect life, yeah, with only good stuff going on there. I see how at least this one is kind of changing, and there are more and more people sharing everything, yeah, both good moments of their life, bad moments of their life, their mistakes, faults, negative emotions. Sometimes it even turns into like only negative stuff, kind of pages, kind of content. And I was just like, asking you the previous question, wondering if something like this actually happening with the beauty standards thing. Body positivity is definitely there, of course, but it seems like it's abused,
Yeah.
and by some content makers, by some influencers, and they spoiled the image of this movement, and people actually don't take it either seriously, or I don't know, they don't think that it's going to change anything.
I just had another idea, and this is about some kind of unrealistic or maybe even incorrect image of something. We see it in the movie itself as well. We see a very beautiful 62-year-old actress who, I don't know, one of the most beautiful people in the world of this age, yeah, if we talk about actresses, who nevertheless is being fired because she's old, according to the plot, yeah, and has to change something because her body doesn't look the way it's supposed to. And we see this body, and for me and many other people that I discussed with, they were like, but what is wrong? Look at this body. Yes, we see that there are some signs of aging, some signs of some imperfections, but I mean, you don't really have to take any substance. You look great. And we see that a lot in social media as well. We see people giving us some image of something like, look, I am fat. Look, I am ugly. Look, I am something else. And you look at it and you're like, oh my God, this person is beautiful. This person is slim, fit, I don't know, whatever. But they are telling you they are not. And at this point, you kind of question your own impression and your own judgment. Is there something wrong with me? We see a lot of people underestimating, overestimating stuff, talking about imperfections, and then you look at the person, you see perfect skin, for example, in your opinion, yeah? I think it's something maybe new, relatively new, people having some very interesting opinions, which they impose as like some truth. So this is not perfect, we need to work on it, we need to perfect it to some other, we need to change it, we need to inject something in it, yeah, something green. So yeah, what do you think?
I know that there's still sort of a bullying going on the media, that's for sure. As a person who watch reels on Instagram from time to time, and this is completely random, that's what you see in your reels feed. There was one day that I probably watched something and went to the comment section, and the algorithm is like, okay, I will give you some more of that. And the video, the first one, was just a young girl, I'm not sure how old she is, before 20, I think. And she was just sharing some like unpacking of some bracelet or something, nothing special. But in terms of the appearance, she's got this feature that I will try to be super polite. Okay, so she's got big front teeth, and lips are like tissue. It's not enough to hide that, so she's like this, And I think all of the listeners can imagine what kind of commentary section was there under the video. And it was not like aggressive bullying. Yeah, it's still bullying. I judge that. But it was like people were making fun of her. Yeah, like doing some sarcastic or punny commentaries. Yeah, I'm not sure I can give any examples in English because it's Russian. It's a Russian language video, so the commentaries were also in Russian. That wouldn't make any sense if I translated them. But, people can think of their own version of what could be said. And after that, I had another video of her, and some commentaries under that video were pretty much the same. It's like same people, same things under just a different video. And there was one more. It was a different content maker, also a young girl, but she's got the situation with her nose. And again, in top commentaries, like dozens and dozens and dozens of commentaries, like 99.9% of them were just making fun of her because of her special nose, outstanding feature. And I see that it's going on, maybe not in an aggressive way. People are just it's a bad word here. People are making fun, and this is not good. But at the same time, you can see that it doesn't stop content makers from continuing. Of course, we don't know what they actually feel about such a situation in the comment sections. The second girl, she actually sometimes even replied to the bullies, and it felt like replies of a confident woman. And I was happy for her. Not sure about the first girl. How she felt about this, and we can only wait and see if actually following them, just to see if this kind of pressure breaks them and they finally do something. But at the same time, there were commentaries, kind commentaries, sometimes even very direct, something like, don't do anything with your teeth, or don't do anything with your nose, you're beautiful, and all that kind of stuff. It's cool. So I think what happened is that during the TV era, people couldn't express themselves, not everybody could express themselves on TV. So all those ideas, they were just imposed on the audience, and they couldn't do anything with that. Whatever, the only thing that you could do communicating with all those people on TV is just writing them letters, or later writing them emails. But it's not there on TV. You don't see that, if they don't say that to you, that we get a lot of letters, we get a lot of emails about this, about that. I tried to actually email TV channels about certain stuff, and they don't care mostly, so it doesn't work. But now everybody's on the internet, and everybody has their own place there, so all the opinions are on the internet, and it's not only bad ones but also good ones, if I paint it black and white. So I think it's a certain change into the better direction.
I think you're making a very important point there about the change in partially the point how it works. So nowadays any person can comment, any person can participate, contribute to a certain thing, video, content, post, or anything, which means that anyone can literally comment on how you look, what you do, how you are dressed, anything you want. And this, for me, kind of sets a certain standard of how people should look if they're doing content, if they're posting videos, photos. And certain people would be like, okay, I don't look well in this photo, I'm not going to post it because I'll have some negative comments or negative opinions, dislikes, people will not like it. So I think people are in a way have a lot of freedom in doing whatever they want, but on social media, but also they are kind of very restrained by other people looking at it. So you really can't post everything you want, because you have to think, okay, do I look good? Do I look fat? Do I look slim? Do I look whatever else? Is my skin good enough for this photo or something? That's absolutely crazy. I feel that. I think it can also have some harmful effect if your psyche is not very is kind of fragile, or if you have some insecurities, low self-esteem, you know.
And I believe even though you can have a lot of good commentaries, good feedback, yeah, people encouraging you and praising you and all that stuff, the psychology of our psychology works that we cling to this bad side. Like we can get hundreds of compliments, but then we get one criticizing commentary, and that's gonna be in the spotlight of our attention. But what I wanted to say is that going back to the movie is that our main character here, she's a TV celebrity. And it means that it's just probably if she was an internet star, she would find, I'm not sure what you should find here, but like find, okay, strength and wisdom to pay attention only to those who could praise her, still saying that you're fans, you're beautiful, and like just like that former classmate that we see in the movie who still thinks that she's the most beautiful girl in the world, just like he used to think when they were at school, as far as I could understand. But again, she's a TV person, so the only feedback that she gets is whatever that producer told her and the ratings. So she only sees that. She only sees the numbers, or hears about the numbers and the ideas of the producers, who are, of course, interested into making money. She's not making money, and we're not even sure if it's like real ratings or anything, or it's just like personal take on whatever is going on with the show, and it's just the producers' ideas that like we should replace her with somebody younger. So yeah, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but like just pointing out that our main character, she's not on the internet, and probably if it was the internet, the situation could have been different, right? Probably.
Yeah, I agree. I also feel that this part is kind of a big metaphor on everything on internet, TV, and whatever, because at some point, if you remember, we see that they tell us that this new show is streaming, and we're not told which platform, where exactly, as if it's just, yeah, this show is streaming and you're supposed to know where. So it's a kind of metaphor. There's only one place, you just open your laptop or whatever, switch on your TV, and then you have this show streaming, something like that. Only one program, only one platform or something. So I see it as a big metaphor on everything that's happening. But I agree that it also could be internet, TV, all this whole industry as one big metaphor, maybe like that.
So, maybe for those who haven't seen the movie, to discuss the next one, I could give just a little bit of a context to what is going on, pretty much. So we have this main character, Elizabeth Sparkle. She's a big star TV fitness program host, which was pretty popular at some point. For example, I don't remember her given name, but there was this actress, something Fonda. For example, she was this kind of host at some point, for example. So maybe that could be a little bit of a reference, to that woman. And she gets fired by the producers because she literally got old. And as if we trust the producers, the ratings went down, and they're looking for somebody new. The long story short, Elizabeth finds out about the procedure called the substance, which allows you to create a newer, younger version of yourself. And she likes the idea because she wants the job back. And she does that. She creates the younger version of the body. It's very important, because there is only one mind, but two bodies, the younger one and the older one. And the main rule of all this is that they should weekly switch. She, not they. She should weekly switch between the bodies. Otherwise, the younger one can just, as we can see from the movie, decay, right? Or the older one get even older quicker and die. and the younger version starts abusing and misusing the whole procedure. And this is when we get the conflict between two versions of the same person. When you were watching, what do you think was going on?
That's a very interesting conflict we have there. I just have to highlight once again that we have kind of one person, but we have two versions, the younger and the older one. They do have one mind and one kind of matrix, but they have different memories. They don't share the same will, maybe the same conscious. Yeah, they can make different decisions, they can do different things. The only thing is that the other one suffers, if I can say so, the consequences of actions of the other. So we have a couple of events there. We have a couple of interesting things happening when we see that the younger self starts abusing these rules. Yeah, she uses more time. She doesn't switch to the older self on time, and we see that the older self has some result on that. She sees the results on her body. Her body starts being, destroyed, deteriorated and stuff. And this is a very interesting conflict. Like, we all definitely had that thing happening when we were younger, 20 years ago. We were doing all kinds of stuff and never thinking about our older self. We just thought, well, I want to have a bit of fun right now. Okay, I'll drink that, I'll smoke that, I'll eat that, I'll have fun right now. Who cares about what happens 20 years later? Yeah, it's not I who will kind of face the consequences. It's someone else. And this is true. Nowadays we are someone else, maybe thinking of that younger self and saying like, why did you eat that? Why did you do that? Why did you spend that? Why did you waste that time on this and that? But we can't really reverse this process. Everything our younger self did to us, we now have to face with it, to deal with it, right? Like in the movie, we see how the older self ate chicken leg, and then we saw it appearing on the younger self. In their case, they found the connection. They found a way to punish each other with that, or influence each other with that in some ways. But in real life, it's like everything our younger selves did, we can't reverse. Although, yeah, there are ways with these beauty procedures, with changing your lifestyle, but still there are some things we have to regret. What do you think?
Before watching the movie, I read a couple of reviews, and they were critical reviews. I mean, in terms of that, those two people, they were criticizing the movie for a couple of things. And unfortunately, I was too focused on trying to understand why people thought so and trying to find proof that they were wrong, because they were, both of them, even though they do not know each other, but for some reason both of them found difficult to understand what was the motivation of the main character to continue. They couldn't see that. And I was like, but that's on the surface. One of those reviews, it was written by a young man, and he got his portion of commentaries from women saying that like, you're just a man, that's why you don't understand. But the same complaints were written by a woman who's also a scriptwriter, and she was also complaining like, what's the motivation? She's just sitting at home, she's not doing anything. All that fame and joy goes to the younger version. So I was so concentrated on understanding maybe a science behind whatever was going on there, so that I couldn't see the connection that you've just described, and this is amazing. I didn't think about this, really. I should I'm just gonna forget whatever I thought and just agree with you. That this is probably, maybe that was not the intention, but still it is there. That's their idea that when we're young, we don't tend to think about our future, and it's really like the tomorrow me is a different person. Yeah, there's even this meme that like it's a problem of tomorrow me, or or something like this. So we don't think about the future. We don't really, in terms of the health, mental health and physical health. Yeah, we do sometimes very drastic things to ourselves, which causes some problems later with physical health. First of all, it seems that nobody's taught that. Like, nobody tells you about this. Or if you are told, you are this rebellious teenager and you just like I know better than you, mom, or than you, yeah, dad, or something. It's a very interesting finding, really.
Did you find out why she did not stop, or did you come to some conclusion?
I think it's on the surface. I think it's what we can see on the real examples when people start doing, when they resort to surgical manipulations, yeah, with their bodies. We can clearly see that for them it's very difficult to stop. The effect wears out, and with the next procedures, they're trying to reverse those consequences of the first procedures. And this is like this kind of maybe not a cycle, yeah, but never-ending process of trying to perfect what is already bad, yeah. And the consequences of every next procedure just pile up, and we get what we get. I think most of us know the real examples of people with this very puffy, like swollen faces. Yeah, all those actresses and actors, yeah, who faced literally this kind of consequences. And I think this is what is going on pretty much in the film, at least what I thought was going on in the film, with all this, with the third version of Elizabeth and Sue, called Eliza Sue. Yeah, I found the conflict very interesting. Maybe some people fail to understand that this is the same person. The movie literally reminds you about this again and again and again. But people, I don't know why, the movie somehow made a wrong impression on them that Elizabeth gave birth to a different person, like just, but visually just similar, yeah, like younger. No, it's the same person. Like, you are one. We can hear that very, very many times in the movie. You are one. There is no other you, or whatever. But the conflict appears because even though it's the same person, the younger version has different set of traits, because she's like more active, she's stronger, and we can see that literally. Yeah, there is a moment when the younger version kicks, yeah, the older version, and she just flies across the big room. It's this kind of symbol. She's stronger, she's younger, stronger, happier, but it's not a different person. It's just younger Elizabeth, pretty much. And who knows, probably she was this kind of person when she was younger. Yeah, we just don't know about this. Yeah, we don't see that real younger Elizabeth Sparkle. We just saw her on the magazine covers, yeah, but we don't know what kind of person she was. And it's pretty much realistic that when we get older, grown up, yeah, if we talk about turning into a grown up, yeah, we get older, sometimes people hate their younger version or older version, yeah. It's possible. So this is what we witness, I think. Just, it's not like a multiple personality disorder. It's just this attitude, yeah, to what Elizabeth has become and to what she was, yeah, when she was younger. That's why we get this. And also, I just realized that she's not the unique example of such a conflict, because we, in the film, we have another guy who's also using the substance, and he's got, we from the dialogue between Elizabeth and that guy, we understand that he's got the same situation, and that the younger version of himself, who was actually the guy who told Elizabeth about this procedure. He's also abusing and misusing the substance. And probably that old man that we can see, he's probably not supposed to be that old. But it's also like the consequences of the younger version pumping too much spine liquid from him, which is the stabilizer for the younger version, not to die. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and or using the body too long, yeah, not switching on time. I agree. I also think that's the reason why, returning to that previous question, why she doesn't want to stop, because it is her. How can you stop yourself? Like, she hates herself, and on the other hand, she sees that this is me, younger, more beautiful, and more, maybe in some way, prone to success. So that's me who can be even more successful. So she wants to stop, but she can't stop because she sees how popular her other self is. Part of her is, yeah. So it's a terrible conflict. Like, you realize that you need to stop something, but you can't because there's so much at stake: success and fame. Popularity.
Yeah, could also be the message about like how this being a celebrity, being famous, how it is an addiction, and how most of the people, they don't just say no to that, right? There are not a lot of directors or actors or whoever, any other types of, when they don't just like at some point stop and like, okay, so I'm not gonna do that anymore, like difficult, or it's enough, or something like this. No, they do their job until the last day of their life, and of course the fans and just admirers, they can notice that. So story-wise, the next step was that the younger version just overly abused the body of the older version, and the older version couldn't supply this spinal liquid anymore, which is the stabilizer for the younger version. And the younger version started pretty much dying, literally, decaying. Her teeth fell out, which is also symbolical because at the same moment when she already didn't have teeth anymore, what was she asked to do?
To smile.
That's smile. Crazy. And this is also like a standardized expression that like all the beautiful things should smile or something like this, or all this men demanding a smile from women, all this kind of stuff. Very ironic. Some other parts of her body starts falling out, and she didn't know any better than to use an activator on herself. And this is also against the rules. This is pretty much the very first rule that Elizabeth learns about. You only activate once. But Sue disobeys and decides that it can help her to create another version, a better version of herself. And we get what the film calls Eliza Sue. Monstro Eliza Sue, or monstrous Eliza Sue, something like this. So how did you understand that part?
For me, it was the ultimate result of such procedures, of all these beauty standards, what they impose on you, on people. It was the look at it. How horrible is that? What's the result? A horrible monster with all kinds of stuff, teeth sticking here, boobs like falling out there. We can see what people think on the audience's faces. We can see their expressions, and we are also absolutely like, wow. Well, that is the result. Of course, it's super metaphoric and ironic and everything. In a lot of cases, for me, well, that's kind of, not all people become monsters, if they do something. But it was like, for me, like a metaphor on what can be the result if you don't know where to stop, if you don't know how to control it and everything. What do you think?
Yeah, this is what was also my impression of what is going on, that like it's the final boss of people overusing the procedures. First, I expected a little bit of a different ending in terms of that you told about the people's reaction, the audience's reaction when they got scared of it, disgusted by it, tried to kill that monster. But it was only the audiences, because before that, she arrives to this studios first, and she goes through the halls of other probably members of the crew, and they don't have this reaction. They kind of like, oh, we're like waiting for you, like you are waited on the stage, blah blah blah. You look amazing. So she gets all these compliments actually first. So this is why I thought that the ending of the sequence would be her going on stage, trying to say something, and it really tries to say something on stage, but fails to actually be intelligible in any way. And I thought that there was some moment of pause after her saying things, and I thought that the audience would stand up and applaud to her and be excited.
Me too.
And I kind of like thought that, okay, so if that happens, that would be the symbolism, the cult of plastic beauty, I would call that. Yeah, that we have this monster, but people are still, or at least that could be like a fake excitement about, the person on the stage. But we get pretty much natural reaction. They try to kill this thing, calling that a monster and everything. And I thought that, well, maybe that could correlate to the reality too, because all this like real victims of this situation, they kind of go through procedures. We still love them, they still have fans and blah blah, they're still popular, they still look more or less good and everything. But then there's this kind of a line which they cross, and they disappear from media because everybody understands that, well, that's too much already, and we cannot like hire these people or invite these people to shows and stuff. So that could be like, this is what I thought first, like that's just showing the realistic finale of such a situation in real life. But I did some, it's too loud to say that I did some research, but I learned about the official explanation. What this part actually symbolizes. The director said that this is actually the moment when this thing is not called Elizabeth for nothing. It's finally the stage, the part when Elizabeth accepts herself as she is. And of course she looks, horribly disgusting there. But the symbolism of that, because this thing is born. What does she do first? She tries to apply some makeup. She looks in the mirror. Trying to curl some like that 3 hairs that she's got, and wearing earrings, but literally just piercing skin with those. And we have this kind of a juxtaposition between the the scene when Elizabeth looks in the mirror and she gets mad about herself and about her looks, and this literal before the date with that former classmate, and that scene when this literal monster looks into the mirror and she's okay. She doesn't like get scared of her reflection or whatever. And she's actually confident enough to go and to the stage, Yeah, that woman who objectively looks great was scared to go on a
Yeah.
date, but this monster is confident enough to go on the stage and be streamed, for like, I believe the number was like 50 million people, yeah? So yeah, this is what actually the meaning, the director's version of the interpretation of whatever is going on. But I think, I mean, it's safe to say that you can think whatever you want, and it can be any takeaway from that part. So it has, like, symbolically, it has a happy ending.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it's true. It's not a film you end up feeling really pleasant about, yeah, but it's definitely a film that makes you think about kind of your own self, if what you see in the mirror is the, I don't know, the Elizabeth person who is absolutely stunning but then hates herself so much, ends up just trying to rip her face off. Or am I like the monster, but I am accepting myself, and in this way a beautiful one and a confident one. And this has so much thought. I think for people to really, really think, what do you actually need to do to eventually accept yourself? Which lengths do you have to go to accept yourself? And do you really need to do that to be able to be confident and be loved by yourself, first of all?
Yeah, but the death of this Eliza symbolizes that, in case of Elizabeth, she accepted herself too late, and she's like already, wasted her life, if I can say so. Yeah, because this monster just dies.
Yeah.
So, some fun facts. So this movie has a lot of references to other projects. So tell us about it.
I think that's kind of something we see a lot nowadays, because modern directors still have a lot of influence from some classics, right? And maybe it's a sign of gratitude, a sign of a reference of appreciation of some greater things done beforehand. It can be a metaphor, a joke, some irony, whatever. Yeah, I noticed a couple. I'm not gonna try to describe the scenes too much because it's gonna be quite complicated, I believe. Well, there's a scene from Space Odyssey that I noticed. It's the moment when in Space Odyssey you have this travel through space, and we have these strange scenes when something is changing after the use of substance, and we see these lights, something like we're flying through some space, and there are lights, there are some rays of something. So this is the same thing we saw in Space Odyssey. A couple of other references were there, but it's also kind of cool to find them out yourself. There were some things from The Shining. For example, the scene when there's like a lot of blood just rushing at some point onto the screen. We saw that. Yeah. What else? Some scenes with the shower. I mean, that's super popular to get them from Psycho. Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you seen?
The corridor rag, carpeting, whatever it's called. The design of it kind of reminds us of the design of the corridors in the hotel from The Shining. Yeah. What I've brought is actually what I usually get excited about when it is in the movie. It's the connection between the opening and the ending of the film. It's not the very first scene. Yeah, in the very first scene we see some like how science works. Yeah, like they inject the egg yolk, gives birth to its copy, and we already see this juxtaposition because the first yolk that was injected, it gets like it starts leaking, and but the second one is just new and fresh. But the important scene here is specifically when we observe the time lapse of a what is it called, like a star, yeah, like a Hollywood star on the
Absolutely.
on the this avenue. I forgot what's the name of this street. We observe the star from the very creation, yeah, when some workers do the create the star, to the very kind of end when the star is already old, it's cracked. People walk, on that thing. Something else happens. But the important specific part is when someone walking past this star drops like a hot dog or a hamburger on that, and the ketchup is like all over the star, and he tries to clean that up, but he fails, of course. It's a lot of sauce there. And it is connected with the very last scene when, even after that, Eliza's Hue monster literally explodes, falling over, and it's the same street. And from all this abomination of a mess and meat and blood, we see that original Elizabeth's face gets kind of detached from the whole body, like a standalone, like a organism, and she's just this face is just kind of crawling towards that star, and just stays there, kind of enjoying the moment, like kind of maybe even reconnecting with that fame that she had, and like all that kind of stuff. But since there is no stabilizer or anything, this splash of a meat with Demi Moore's face on it, after some time it decays into a red splash. I like this kind of stuff. I love this kind of stuff when they connect the beginning with the end, but showing some kind of it's a little bit juxtaposition-y there, in terms of that it was just a ketchup in the first scene, but now it's literally her just dying on her, on the symbol of her fame, on the symbol of her being a celebrity and everything.
Yeah.
And another little thing, I really liked the choice of the song for the new version of the show, of the fitness show, because it's a remix of a Pump It Up track from like 80s or something, and it's funny linguistically, because the younger version, to get the spinal fuel, which is the stabilizer, she has to literally pump it up from the older version of herself, and that I just found it funny that this is the song for the fitness sessions. So this is the substance for you. Watch it to your risk.
It is full of dark humor and ironic references like that. Yeah, connections and stuff. Yeah, I agree. I definitely recommend either for some strong emotions, or maybe for some thoughts on beauty standards, your image, body image, or how you feel about yourself, how you feel about aging, how you feel about your body changing with age, with time and everything. And being kinder to your younger self, and being kinder to your current self as well, right?
It's always your current self, right?
By the way,
Yeah.
don't forget.
So yeah, watch the movie, be kind to yourself, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, thank you so much.